The Sicilian Defense is widely regarded as one of the most dynamic and exciting openings in the entire game of chess. It's a preferred choice for those who desire an aggressive game right from the outset, as it empowers Black to seize the initiative and directly challenge White from the very beginning. It's not merely about defending, it's about actively creating opportunities to pressure the opponent, gain crucial space, and meticulously prepare attacks across various sections of the board. If you truly learn and understand the fundamental basic ideas, you will then be able to surprise your opponent and effectively maintain complete control of the game, even if it appears that he possesses much more experience than you do. White moves their pawn, and you respond with c5. At this very moment, your opponent has only a limited number of options available. The Sicilian Defense is widely recognized as one of the most powerful and effective openings in chess, but it's also considered one of the most intricate and challenging to master. However, there's no need to worry. I have carefully organized this particular opening into a series of small, manageable missions that are specifically designed to be easy for beginners to fully understand. In a few minutes, you'll learn how to put your opponent in trouble from the very first moves. Your first mission focuses on your c-file pawn. Naturally, you start by moving it. But what do you do next? This particular pawn has a very specific and clear objective. The Sicilian Defense, as you know, seeks to control and attack the central squares from the queen side, and your c-pawn is an absolutely fundamental and crucial part of that overall strategy. It is specifically targeting a highly strategic zone on the chessboard. Just wait, and if your rival ventures into that zone, take him without any hesitation. That is your primary objective. There are countless variations that can arise based on how you decide to move your pawns, but through these straightforward missions, you'll grasp the fundamental essentials required for any beginner. In the vast majority of matches, the white pieces typically won't offer their pawn as a sacrifice right away. Instead, they could choose to move any other piece on the board. Your next objective is to place your bishop in a strategic position that allows it to exert significant pressure over the entire board. To achieve this first, you must move the pawn that is currently blocking its path. Then, after clearing the way, you can effectively develop your bishop. But pay close attention. The white pieces are advancing their central pawn. Do you still remember your plan? You must capture it immediately. Don't you worry about anything else just yet. They recapture. And now, you can continue with your normal development. Your bishop is already in a good position. White will make one more move, and then it's time for you to develop your knight. If they capture that piece from you, there's really no cause for concern. You simply recapture, and you will have a completely open file for your rook. This is truly excellent because then you will be able to initiate a powerful attack on the queen side. If it's not captured, that's perfectly fine. Develop your pieces, following a pattern that will eventually become quite familiar to you. Move the pawn, then the knight, castle. If you don't know what that means, you can click the top right, where we will explain castling to you in every detail. Place the bishop and finally the rook. It's easy to remember where the pieces go, but the order can be a little more difficult to memorize. Observe. First the knight, then the pawn. Another knight, then castle, bishop, and rook. After advancing the pawn and placing the bishop, simply follow the order and develop all your pieces. There are two configurations you should know. This particular one is among them. Through these missions, you have already learned a significant portion, specifically half of the Sicilian Defense. This is precisely the strategic arrangement that you are currently seeking. If your c-pawn has already been exchanged, or you haven't managed to do so, you will then require an alternative setup. Let's go back to the beginning. Sometimes, white doesn't play where you expect. Normally, you'd attack the center like this, but if there's no pawn to exchange, you must find another way to pressure the center. I'll show you how. Let's assume they develop their bishop to its intended square. For the time being, just stick to your usual objectives. Bring out your bishop. They will most likely castle or move some other piece, and then you develop your knight. You know they're bound to make another somewhat random move. According to your plan, the next piece to move would be a pawn. but your c-pawn is still currently on the board. If you still have it, it means there was no exchange of pieces, and you haven't been able to attack the center yet. In that case, don't advance that specific pawn, but rather the adjacent one. This prepares a central attack for later, a move that will be absolutely unstoppable. That, my friends, is the true Sicilian spirit. They then make another completely random move. Now, you want to develop your other knight. Normally, it would go to its usual square, but this time there is a much better position. Thanks to you moving the adjacent pawn, the knight can be placed right there. The white pieces make one more move, and now you must count. Can you manage to count up to 3? That's very good. How many times do the white pieces attack this particular zone? 1, 2, and 3. And you, how many times do you attack that same spot with your pawn? 1, 2, and 3. That's truly excellent pressure. If you were to exchange all of the pieces right now, you would win. No. Of course, they're not going to exchange everything with you. What's most likely to happen is they'll just take a pawn, and then you'll recapture. If there's a bishop there, it will simply retreat. Just look, you now have a lot more space right here in the center. A little later on, you'll see exactly how to take full advantage of this. Before you continue with your next move, you must castle. Following that, you'll be able to pin a knight with your bishop, and your pair of bishops will become incredibly powerful. Additionally, with complete control of the center and the queen side, you will have truly excellent attacking opportunities. If something unexpected should happen, don't you worry. For example, if the white pieces pin your knight before you fully completed your development, you can just move your bishop back to safety and castle quite early. They make a completely random move, and despite that, you can still attack the center. You have complete freedom of movement and strategic maneuver. If they decide to take your pawn, you simply recapture it, and the bishop will then be forced to retreat. Now you have absolute control of the board again. How do you win? From this position after the opening, picture a typical game between a master and a novice. Place your bishop to pin the opponent's knight. Pay attention. This is a demonstration of how to dominate in chess. Your opponents try to move their knight, but you control the center and attack it right away. That's why it's so important to control the center. White cannot place their pieces in good positions. They move their knight back, but nothing happens. You bring it deeper, well protected by your bishop, and then you attack it once again. Now the knight has absolutely no way to escape. The entire center of the board is completely controlled. Every single area on the board is extremely dangerous for that knight. They ignore this critical problem and develop their queen towards an open file. You might initially consider this to be a perfectly correct and advantageous move, but you'll soon realize that the queen was actually defending that crucial knight. You then proceed to capture the knight with your bishop, and white immediately recaptures with their pawn. As a direct consequence, their castling position becomes severely compromised. This particular error doesn't directly lose any material, but it will undoubtedly and significantly affect the entire game. You must always protect your castling position. In the meantime, your opponent's knight is still in a lot of trouble. Don't rush, just calmly capture it. No, that wasn't quite the move you were intending. Absolutely excellent. You have a 1-point material advantage, but you haven't won the game yet. White moves their queen, and it's your turn. Dominate the queen side and the center. Bring your knight to an aggressive position, pressuring an isolated pawn and attacking another. They don't accept it and protect the pawn. Do you see the problem? Your knight can move here, delivering a double check to both the queen and the rook. The queen will have to move, but then the rook will be left completely defenseless. There will be no escape for it. And you might be thinking to yourself, what if he doesn't make that same mistake again? It truly doesn't matter. The important thing here is not the precise tactic itself, but rather that you are the one who controls the entire board. You have the ability to bring your knight into very dangerous positions, and that relentless pressure will cause your opponent to make mistakes. Whenever they attempt to attack, you block everything with your powerful core. Maintaining control of your center allows you to create these opportunities, and your opponent will eventually make a mistake. While tactics are certainly important, keeping your concentration will enable you to perform significantly better. It may sound deceptively simple, but concentrating your efforts will undoubtedly yield truly great results. Once more, in this specific game scenario, white defends the pawn and then takes control of the open file, but then you strategically move your knight. This specific move would immediately lead to an unavoidable checkmate. How could they possibly manage to defend themselves from this position? They can't do a thing. It's an absolutely inevitable checkmate. They push their very last pawn, and you move your queen into position. And then it's finally checkmate. Now that you've gained a solid understanding of how the Sicilian defense truly works, it's your perfect opportunity to put that knowledge into practice. And the absolute best way you can achieve that is by joining BlackChess Academy. You'll find the link conveniently located in the description below.